trouble. So he is going to start with the
Walking
Palu.
in the Palutena.
See it right there.
We're going to start off with a couple of very good characters, of
Yeah,
course.
so some would say Sonic's very solid character. Palu, one of those very, very defining top tiers early on in the metagame, has fallen off in some ways, but it's still like a very, very good character. I mean, clearly Juanpi controlling the character, doing super well in this stage.
Really just got power crept more
Yeah.
than anything. I don't think Palu's bad at all. Just like there are so many more good characters now that there's not a lot of people who are like, you know, I should really play Palu. But anyone who already did, I mean, there's still a very good character there for them. So getting started here on PS2, and it's a great start for Juanpi, getting 51% off the bat. And that's really what they need to do here in this matchup in something like Palu Sonic. You really want Sonic to have to come to you even if it takes a while.
Yeah, whoever wins the first super match, that's kind of huge with Sonic.
Yeah.
So, especially because that's a strength that Palu has. His thermal ability is really strong. Like, obviously it's spoiler, but he can still kind of like contest Sonic really well. And doesn't really have to work for it as hard as some other characters might.
Nice.
Just running over right now.
What a first stock there. And this is, I think we see sort of the strength of Palu is the incredible low damage conversions. And then when you're playing someone like Sonic, you're trying to be patient, you're trying to run the clock down. All of a sudden you find yourself down 70, 80%. You can't play like that anymore. And want to take full advantage. And they get a great first stock, and they're up now at full stock and some percent.
Yeah, right now RyMax finding a little bit of an issue with trying to get into Juanpi's zone to deliver more damage if needed. So right now we're just interested in seeing what RyMax chooses to do. So far, again, has been trying the same options every once in a while, but should try to punish Juanpi for any sort of unsafe approaches, which, to be fair, not really giving them to RyMax.
It's rough. I mean, when you fight someone like Palu, when Palu has this big of a lead, and something that Juanpi does very well as a player as well, is it's just so hard to contest so much of what Palu does. So we see a good whiff punish on the dash attack there, which is very hard to do. But it's just making RyMax play so risky right now, and Juanpi's doing a great job just keeping firm control of this match right now.
And Juanpi just very comfortable kind of holding onto the side of the stage with a platform right under it. And RyMax, again, it's like because of how down you are at this point, it really is on you as a Sonic player to find a way in and do the damage, make up the little bit of a gap that's existing right there.
And that's what Sonic players hate, you know? That's the polar opposite of why you want to play this character. So
yeah, one of Sonic's biggest weaknesses definitely is when he's down, especially at a deficit like this. He's really good at like controlling the neutral when it's even or when he has a lead, but if he's behind, getting an opening can actually be really tough.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where the size of the lead makes a big difference. You know, if you're up 20% on Sonic, unless the clock's under 5, that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you can still get like some damage.
Once you have the stock lead and you don't care about those random like dash grab whiff punishes or random like dash up F tilts, now it's where it's really difficult. Sonic really struggles to like force stocks to come off the board at this point.
And Sonic's biggest X factor too is his edge guarding is really good, his ledge trapping's pretty good, but Palu his recovery's like good enough to where you can kind of just maneuver around a lot of those ledge traps and those edge guards that Sonic's really good at.
Yeah, you might get, you know, spring looped a couple times, but you're not realistically going to die very often with a warp recovery without them hitting an F smash. So definitely long uphill battle here. Juanpi working on a potential 3-stock right now in this first game.
We'll see if RyMax has anything to say about potentially not giving it to Juanpi.
Really tough right now for RyMax, though. He just can't seem to get a good opening in here.
Yeah, and I would
like
say
has all the answers.
part of the thing, like to be fair, Juanpi playing a character where like you would think Palu with how good she is and everything, more people would play her. New England, such a lack of Palu players, like truly.
No Palu, only Wii Fit.
Palu, yeah, Wii Fit, Rob, Steve, anything. And right there, game one going to be solidly claimed by Juanpi with a 3-stock. So right now, RyMax has to think of a new strategy going forward into like, what am I going to do to change this that just happened?
As they're popping off in the other room over there. Over
they're watching the same VOD, but they're like 20 seconds behind. So they'll react out of time with us.
Right, so we are going into game number 2. I think we're going right back to PS2. And we'll see what kind of adjustments RyMax can make. I feel like once that first stock kind of flew off the board, he did settle down and play a lot more solid and neutral a lot of the time. But just once you're at that kind of deficit with Sonic, you've lost so much of the character. So we'll see if we can get off to a better start. And just kind of play it from there and not have to force those stocks off the board.
Yeah, like as much as you want to win, also when you get to that point in the first game, especially in a best of 5, you can really be like, oh, I'm going to just focus on like what can I do better for the future game, even if I don't feel like I can win this one just yet.
Right now, yeah, like you guys said, RyMax is definitely playing more neutral, more patiently. to start things off.
And if you take an occasional, like, you know, like one of those, you take auto reticle and explosive flame once in a while, it's not the end of the world. You really just don't want to get opened up by those Nair strings, all the juggles that Juanpi was getting game 1. Now, of course, you do want to block these auto reticles, but still, this is a much better start. We're seeing a very even game here and a very slow-paced game, which is much more, I think, in RyMax's favor.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, like, with the game 1, I think Juanpi just had the right answers in like the first stock at every moment.
Yeah.
Whereas opposed, like after that, it was kind of he was just outplaying him, but it wasn't as dominant. So RyMax now is like, as long as he just plays his range a little bit smarter, he's gonna have a lot more chances to kind of like keep up with Juanpi.
And I think in the early going here, he's also picked some better defensive options. He had a really good delayed directional air dodge on that situation on the left side of the stage there. He's not taking, you know, this huge combos. This was one combo basically in game 1.
Yeah.
Now they've been playing for a minute and a half and he's at 82. And he's down, but it's definitely more within reason. I definitely like some of the adjustments that he's made.
But much more of a slower game. And I think switching perspectives to Juanpi actually, Juanpi continues to do this game where like I'm gonna stay under the platform or right above it and like just control that area to the point where like you're the one that always feels pressured. Like even if Juanpi were to be in a situation where they're down, it just feels like RyMax would still have to be the one like being forced to approach in some ways.
And that I think is one of the quintessential things about fighting Sonic is that when you're fighting a Sonic player, you like the most important advice for a lot of characters is just time them out. Like they're going to threaten to time you out if you fall way behind, but if you get control, that's like all of a sudden you can just sit there. That's what are you going to do? Run at Sonic? You can't catch him, so don't try. I think Juanpi's doing a great job of that. He's getting just enough into the range that you're seeing that like they're able to sort of play around where Sonic can be threatening, and then RyMax is just not quite able to force those interactions.
Yeah.
That's was finally the first stock.
After
Much
about
slower burn.
2.5 minutes.
But one of the things that makes Sonic's camping, like, just as a character, very threatening is also the damage and the like kill options that he can have. I don't think RyMax was really running that enough. I think he was just kind of playing patiently, so instead Juanpi just took a different approach. And now there's like kind of a similar level of deficit.
Right.
Like you kind of have to make Juanpi a little bit more scared, I think.
But with another 2 minutes off.
Because he's just kind of like hoping he approaches when really, when you get to a certain level, that's not really how they're going to go about it.
And I think what Juanpi's doing so well is, you know, you were talking about how they're just kind of sitting in like a certain position around the platform, baiting in approaches.
No.
And RyMax is not quite going for like the whiff punishes that they can get sometimes. So he's not getting sort of the maximum damage even when he gets those conversions and when he gets those small openings, and that's when he goes for the spring upper, they're not really going to get it. And Juanpi's survivability has been so good, they've been so hard to kill.
Yeah. No, certainly echoing what Cafe had just said about like when you get to a certain level as a player, I feel like in a way it's defined by you being like more intentionally willing to do less. And in Juanpi's case, like, yeah, like I'm not going to give you the approach that you think I'm going to do if you just don't approach me. Like I'm comfortable here, especially when I'm winning. So
Right.
no incentive to be the one to pressure RyMax.
Okay, we're back.
This is like quite a slow burner for considering it's still like a pretty dominant game right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like in a way RyMax has kind of over-adjusted from game 1. You know, he was playing a little too aggressive and got really burned for it early on in game 1, and now he's made that adjustment to be more patient, but he's gone a little too far maybe, and we're not seeing, you know, enough offense to make up these percent deficits or now stock deficit.
Yeah.
And you have to find that balance, and Juanpi is just doing so good, seeing exactly how much RyMax is willing to give them.
Like on the scale of holding forward and holding back,
Yeah.
what was like one end to the other between these two games. But there, Juanpi taking the second, stuck it again. When you get to this point, Juanpi is just like literally just moving around.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Doesn't matter. And now, yeah, RyMax really needs to just make something happen and just try to start something. Because
I need him to get a stock. I just need him to take a stock.
it's really tough. This would be one of the longest 3 stocks I think I ever watched though if he doesn't.
Wait.
Okay, there we go.
You're wrong.
Okay,
You're so wrong.
So
Well, it would have
stock
been,
on the board
but
for
it
Yeah.
didn't happen.
This is going to be still really rough. Because, I mean, even if he survives 2 minutes, how's he going to get a lead back?
So hard. And I feel like RyMax just is kind of like doesn't have any like real game plan how to open up Palu, which is like his biggest problem.
I would love to see how much damage he has taken from auto reticle this game.
I wish.
A lot.
It's a high number. Juanpi has definitely been relying on that and just kind of getting some free damage every
Yeah,
few
even
seconds
like,
off it.
because he's just kind of dashing back and forth or spin dashing. Even just like dash jump, I think would be good because then you can kind of like maneuver around the auto reticle and try to punish
Is that gonna be it?
it with like homing attack or something. But
Yeah.
RyMax just is committed to his very slow gameplay, and it's not really working out right now.
And it's so hard. I feel like people kind of don't give Sonic players enough credit sometimes, the really good ones, because
Yeah.
it's like, it looks so easy when you watch a really good Sonic player, like, play so patiently and then whiff punish everything. But the focus you have to have and the precision to actually do all of that is so difficult.
Yeah,
And
like
Juanpi
that's
is
a perfect
really
example
forcing-
right
yeah,
there.
Exactly.
Like Sonic's would have spaced it, or any top Sonic would have spaced it in a way where it would have like connected and stuff like that. Like not saying, you know, like it's still kind of an inconsistent move, but there are
It
ways to
is.
make it a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, and it's so difficult to be that precise for such a long
Yeah,
game.
but then if you do that,
It
if
always
he
is.
shields, then you're in a worse spot, like advantage-wise
Exactly.
too. So it's like it's a lot of like little small stuff like that.
So Juanpi goes up 2-0, and they look firmly in control right now. No stage counter pick, going right to PS2. I would assume FD is banned. Other than that, I feel like the stages aren't going to make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because
Probably-
Juanpi's playing around platforms so well, and the only great option would be to like not give them platforms,
Yeah.
which I don't think is going to be like. I highly doubt they would let FD go open here. So
I mean, Sonic is good with platforms, but I think the game plan that RyMax wants to do, fly stages would be the play to ban versus him.
Yeah.
yeah, so, and especially just the way Juanpi has been sort of circling these platforms and really.
That as well.
It's allowing them to really just camp even like in RyMax's face sometimes and just be like, all right, I'm pretty close to you, but what are you going to do about it? Like, you don't have a clear approach angle.
And right now, I just want to point out that like all that damage that Juanpi just did at the beginning of the game was based on like very little like reads predictions that RyMax kept falling into. I think Juanpi at this point, 2 games in, even with like the pure change in RyMax's gameplay, has a really good sense of what RyMax likes to do just as a player in general. Like even if RyMax weren't playing Sonic, this is just like, yo, I'm gonna expect you to air dodge right here or fall into this side beam for Palutena.
They've really got a good hold on his defensive options at this point. And we'll see I guess the tech on the down throw as well.
Yeah, I think you wanted a tech chase.
I think RyMax is playing at a better pace this time. We're seeing sort of that in between of the first couple of games. But it is certainly going to be a rough battle here. The Nair almost kills starting the explosive flame, but this is kind of trapped in the cycle here. And yeah, still has to drift in there. So first stock goes to Juanpi, 76% on the board, not the worst situation, but RyMax going to have to find a stock sooner rather than later.
And again, Juanpi, even in the face of that charge of a Sonic Special, just like, I'm gonna neutral her. Like, I think I can just hit it.
I
Because
feel
there
like,
hasn't been enough of a timing mix-up to beat it yet.
I feel like this kind of is like the worst case scenario for RyMax though, 'cause it's just the same position
Yeah.
of every game where it's like he gets like 40 to 60% and then just loses the stock and just can't get another opening for a long time. As like, you know, the lead just keeps building up and up.
Yeah, and now just kind of goes for those Hail Mary options, the run up full screen grab. And it's like all of these are situational things that could work, but it's just, you're really predicting that you're going to be so specifically correct in those moments. And Juanpi's going through just much safer things. They're playing this really consistent game plan and then also really latching onto RyMax's defensive options.
Oh, good catch.
Yeah, good catch on that. So I feel like I haven't seen RyMax really like leg trap at all outside of that one interaction too, which is not a huge thing. It's kind of important just for Sonic as like a character.
And also against Palu. I
Yeah.
feel like it's not a huge weakness of Palu. It's not like she has no options at ledge, but she
But-
doesn't have like one
Oh,
unfortunate.
unfortunate.
You know, Palu doesn't have that one big like skip disadvantage option. Warp is
Yeah.
the closest she gets to it, and that's not really
He's
that
able
level.
to catch that one.
And
Especially for Sonic.
Fortunately,
solid performance from
But yeah.
Juanpi.